All right, so I guess we can scratch Cooper Kupp off the list, right? And the list just keeps growing shorter, and the lights just keep getting darker. Good afternoon to you. Did you see I almost said good morning there? Good afternoon to you. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Double Shot of Steelers. It comes your way at 4 p.m. Eastern Time every weekday, along with the Daily Shot podcasts that I do in the morning, which is when I say good morning. Steelers versus Giants on Monday night, and there's no sign whatsoever of another wide receiver being brought into the fold. After the Rams played last night, I'll find the exact quotes here for you. Sean McVay said, as it related to Kupp, he said, teams reached out. Some of the things that I've seen out there, they're just not true. He also said, we're really glad to have him back on the field, and that's what I expect to stay that way. Now, I'm sure it didn't hurt that Kupp just went out there and made 5 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown, and the Rams had an impressive 30-20 win over the Vikings, and that the Rams are playing in a division that's surprisingly airtight. I think a lot of people expected that the 49ers would run away with it, but 3 teams are 3-4, and the Seahawks are 4-3, and they're still in it. So I didn't really understand the Kupp stuff in the first place, other than the fact that the Rams are obviously always really tight against the cap, and the Kupp is 31, and maybe they want, who knows? Maybe they just wanted to get him back on the field since he'd missed enough time. The point is, as it relates to this team, is that the Steelers still do not have this player. And you can say whatever it is that you want about, Calvin Austin making a nice play, Van Jefferson catching a touchdown, George Pickens finding heightened usage with Russell Wilson behind center. You can also throw in that Arthur Smith has traditionally had a WR1 who makes X number of catches, and then a couple of tight ends right behind that WR1, and then down here somewhere, all his other wide receivers. So it hasn't even been a significant part of his offense. To me, all of that misses the larger point, and that's this. The Steelers have more than $10 million in cap space. Yes, it can roll over to 2025. In 2025, are you going to have all of these other dynamics in play, meaning TJ Watt at his current age, still very much a DPOY candidate. Cam Hayward, still a player. The other components to the excellence of this defense, the overall excellence of these special teams, and what just might be a little bit of a coming of age of this offense, if what we saw from Russ in the second half against the Jets is going to be a real thing. To me, I don't think you punt on that. I don't think you say, let's be careful here. Let's just see how it goes. Let's make sure that we get proper value for our draft picks. I know there's a bunch of you that disagree with me on this. I hear from you a lot, and I respect it. But I see 2024 as a meaningful season. I really do. I see 2024 as an opportunity to get into the playoffs, which can never be taken for granted in this league. It's an opportunity to get good seeding into the playoffs, which for a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 7 years is not to be taken for granted. Get into the tournament, do something, win something. When you know that there's one position concretely that you need to address, just go ahead and address it. I've been saying this again and again because a lot of people, myself included, and I did it again this week with Kupp, get all caught up in the big names. And we start envisioning what it'll look like with Brandon Ayuk or Kupp, or who was it before that? Devontae Adams. We start picturing, wow, that would just be amazing. And it doesn't have to be that. It just needs to be another guy. It needs to be not even necessarily a 1A. Go and get yourself a WR2. Go ahead and do that. They're out there. Cap space is there, the capital is there, and the will should be there. When we come back, the latest from the Southside. At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects. Joined now from the Southside by Chris Halleck, our beat writer at DK Pittsburgh Sports, covering the Steelers. They had another practice today. They have another one tomorrow because of the unusual work week leading into the Monday night game. Chris, I'm still complaining about WR2, but I also brought up in the opening segment that WR2 in the Arthur Smith world has always been a tight end. And you know what else? WR3 in the Arthur Smith world has always been a tight end. Darnell Washington has 10 catches on 11 targets this season, which isn't going to be something that, makes anybody forget Travis Kelce, but 10 catches for 91 yards. I mean, it's something, right?
Yeah, well, first off, it took him 4 games to surpass his catch total from last year. So, he's he's definitely more involved this year. Now, you'd maybe like to see a little bit more, but I think this past game kind of showed like the different type of things that they can do with him. They're not going to do anything overly special, but he can stay in, do a just block and then release after a second and be an option in the flat. And as we saw, like nobody wants to get in front of that guy whenever he's got the ball with room to run. He can either run you over because he's 6 foot whatever and definitely weighs over 300 pounds, or he can just flat out hurdle over you.
Officially is listed in the media guide as 6 foot whatever and 300 billion something pounds, and yet all of it is in this Adonis-like specimen. He is one of the most freakish looking dudes you've ever seen in terms of just his sheer size and strength and everything. And you mentioned, guys not wanting to face him. How about Sauce Gardner Sunday night? He might as well have put out the Matador's cape, like this. Yeah. Made the business decision to just kind of clear out of the way. But the number that impresses me the most out of Darnell's stats, and I already mentioned it, is that he's got 10 catches on 11 targets. And if there's one thing, I don't know how you feel about this, but in my watching him in practices in Latrobe and to this minimal extent in games, he doesn't drop the ball. No. He makes the plays that are sent to him. It's not like it's going to him and you're wondering, why did we waste that?
Yeah, the only incompletion on when he was targeted was when Justin Fields tried to hit him down the field and kind of
Which
overthrew
was a bad
him.
idea. They were sending him out there to be Willie Mays in center field, and it was just we said it. We were there. Where was that, in Las Vegas?
No, that was at home. That was at home. Yeah,
and we said it right away to each other, like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it was just not the big. It could have been a better ball too. It was kind of thrown kind of flat, and so the dude's 6'7" and he's having to reach his hand up. But at the same time, you're right. He's there. He's catching the football, and I asked him today. It's just like, how does it feel to be more involved? How does it feel to be kind of a second legitimate option at tight end? Because do you have Connor Hayward, who has shown the ability to catch passes? Probably has is more. He's definitely more twitchy. He could probably make catches that Darnell necessarily can't. Not that Darnell isn't athletic or anything like that. It's just obviously his size does limit certain twitchiness. It's hard to be that big and to be quick. But still, it does seem like he is the undoubted number 2 option at tight end. And I think that's a good thing. And that's why I wanted to ask him today. Like, how does it feel to be more involved?
And you did. And here's the result, because he likes this.
What's it been like for you to become more involved in the passing game this year? Because I know last year there was a lot of run blocking stuff, and come in the NFL game, there's a lot to learn. But what's it been like for you to become more involved?
For me, it's been awesome. Just me, showcasing my ability with the ball. That's something I enjoy, and it do take me back. I ain't really been featured like that since high school, so it kind of just bring back a little bit of memories and things like that. So it's for sure been awesome.
How many more hurdles do you have in you this year?
This year, hey, I that's something I can't put a number on. I guess just whenever I get a chance to. So.
Good for him. I'm all about the Darnell hurdle, man. Although the only thing better than the Darnell hurdle is when he doesn't bother with the hurdle. With him going downfield is one thing, but when you look at the thing, and we've talked about this now for a couple of years, you and I, with Darnell, and you reference his athleticism, which he has. But what he didn't have as a rookie that he seems to have at least improved upon in his second year, and I know this was something that the Steelers coaches internally were concerned about, catch the ball and then make that, you know what I'm going to say, that first athletic move.
Yeah.
Come down with it, but come down with it in a way that you're prepared to do all that Darnell-like damage. And that wasn't there at first. There was this clunky procedure where he'd get it, come down, turn, not really have any fluidity to it. I'm seeing more of that now. I don't think it's perfect. And again, he's not Kelsey. But there's something there that you look at him and you say, this could still really be something.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think the biggest thing with him is just to get him in space because, that's definitely been available. We saw it. I mean, I saw it for sure in Vegas. I don't know how many times I said it. Darnell's open. Darnell's open.
Darnell's open.
Darnell's open. Like it was there. Like it was there. And then finally, I think it was at some point in the second half, he actually hit him and he was open and he had enough time to, catch, gather, turn, and, get some yardage afterwards. So it's definitely there. Doesn't necessarily have to be this main feature guy. Obviously, you're going to want to feed George Pickens. You're going to want to get Pat Freiermuth involved. But in terms of having a nice complementary piece, which, shoot, man, Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith both this week have talked about the importance of spreading the ball out. Darnell Washington can be one of those other guys, and that could be what helps make this offense, continue to go on the trajectory it's been on the past couple of weeks.
It could be, and we'd be remiss in having a segment on Darnell Washington if we didn't bring up what he's actually doing out there. Okay, and Arthur Smith brought this up himself yesterday. He said one of the things that he likes about seeing Darnell get the occasional target is that it's a reward for the stuff that he's actually doing. The Steelers love, not like a lot, they love what he's getting done at the line of scrimmage. And to an extent, you can say, all right, well, look at me, he's a monster. He's going to be engulfing whoever it is that he's blocking. Okay, and what's wrong? I mean, Jonathan Ogden put together one of the greatest careers in NFL history by simply existing at left tackle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darnell is that guy. He is what he said he was coming out of college. He's the sixth offensive lineman. But yeah, to feed him a little bit, to keep him, because he does like it. He does like it.
Yeah, you could see it. Whenever I asked him, we just saw the clip, but you could see the excitement about it, the big old smile.
Oh, remember in Denver? He was borderline giddy. He couldn't even believe he's being interviewed. He's like looking around for more cameras. Hey, come on over here. He thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and shoot, man, when you have that kind of a matchup, that's the other part of this. When you have that kind of a matchup, when you have that big of a guy going against a little bitty corner, just throw it up and let him get it. Like, and shoot, again, Justin did it obviously in Denver when he caught his touchdown, but Russ is obviously very capable of doing that too. So I don't mind that route when you're down in the red zone. That's a good red zone target to have.
Halleck, I still want the wide receiver, man. I still want the wide receiver.
They need one.
They need one. They really do. When we come back, J1Q.
Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Welcome back. Time now for J1Q, and for that we go just over across the river.
Hey, DK, Smack, calling from the north side. So why do you think receivers seem to be reluctant to sign with the Steelers? Think it maybe had to do with our quarterback situation, or they just don't share our optimism? What do you think?
The Brandon Ayuk situation, that was one that he had control over because he knew he was going to be signing an extension or he was going to be finding some other way to extend his career. And, of course, as it turns out, all he was doing was pushing the 49ers to do exactly that. He and his agent handled that one pretty elegantly, I must say. But these other situations, I wouldn't confuse them too much. Can a player say, I absolutely don't want to play in Pittsburgh? I guess some of this came up with Davante Adams, too. They can do that. They could just stop playing football. I mean, it's a free world. They can do whatever it is that they want. They don't have to be employed. But I would never overread that stuff. I don't know that Ayuk didn't want to come here. Remember that it was Ayuk who was hinting at both Pittsburgh and Washington throughout that stuff whenever he was putting out his little social media hints. So I get the idea that he didn't want to come here. Just wanted to stay where he was and wanted to get paid. Adams was a different case. Did Adams not want to come to Pittsburgh? I don't know. Did you see him responding in any negative way to Cordero Patterson's many public urgings to get him here? No, I didn't. What he wanted was to be hooked up with Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because he was with the Raiders, and the Raiders haven't had a quarterback in a little bit too long. And he probably got really tired of having quarterbacks who don't trust him, who don't throw to him, or who just aren't very good. So he goes to the Jets. He sees a very familiar face, somebody who wanted him just as badly as he wanted to be there, and that doesn't really have all that much to do with the Steelers either. And Kupp had nothing to do with it. Kupp is signed through 2026. Kupp's already 31, so he's not playing toward his next contract. I don't know that there's going to be a next contract for a 33, 34-year-old wide receiver. So I go back to Omar here. I really do. Omar has what's needed to make this transaction happen. Now, maybe internally, and I've not heard this, so this is speculation on my part. I'll always try to kind of separate those for you. Maybe Omar and Andy Weidel, Art Rooney, and Mike Tomlin are all saying, hey, get the best possible deal that you can for a wide receiver by the trade deadline. The trade deadline for the NFL is November 5. The Steelers' next game after next Monday against the Giants is November 10 against the Commanders. So if you get yourself a receiver on the 5th, stands to reason that player would be available to you on the 10th, and thus for the final 9 games, or more than half of the season. I'm not crazy about it. I want to see this player here as much as you do. But I can also understand if he just says, we're going to wait for the best deal. We're not going to hurt ourselves in the long term, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing that gets me, and that's because none of us can know this, you got to do something. You got to do something. You can't just let this opportunity, this very real opportunity, slide. I appreciate the question there, Matt. I appreciate everybody checking out the new Daily Shot show, which again comes your way at 4 p.m. Eastern time on weekdays. And don't forget, I also have the regular Daily Shot podcasts Monday through Friday, first thing in the morning. Thanks so much for being with me here.